Well, welcome back to another episode of 42nd Street Pete's Grindhouse. And today's going to be a little bit different. And people that maybe grew up in the 70s, around my age, would maybe remember this, maybe not, because it's a really weird subject to hit on. Thing is, like I said, I think I talked about this before, like something like $1 Million Movie that basically ran a lot of stuff that kids shouldn't be able to see uncut back in the 50s and early 60s. So now we segue into the early 70s. And films that I had seen multiple times in theaters were now cropping up on something called the Movie of the Week on Sunday night. I think it might have been ABC, but NBC and CBS had little showcases too. Basically, they would grab a mainstream movie and showcase it. But a lot of the stuff from the 60s, they grabbed and they altered to suit TV audiences. Now, by altered, I mean censoring the shit out of it. For some reason, in that time period, they were cutting all the violence out of these films. And even weirder, I'll give you a for instance, Fistful of Dollars, which I had seen multiple times, you know, paired with For a Few Dollars More than to Spend the Night with Clint Eastwood with The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly and Hang 'em High. For Fistful of Dollars, obviously they had never seen Kurosawa's Yojimbo. So to justify the killings in the film, they shot a pre-title sequence with a guy dressed in Eastwood serape with his back to the camera, supposedly in prison, talking to a warden who was played by Harry Dean Stanton. And every once in a while, Clint Eastwood's squinty eyes would appear. Basically, what they were trying to do is justify what was going on by saying that this guy was some kind of prisoner who was let out to go to this town and straighten out what was going on there for a pardon. Like we needed to see this. But even worse, they pretty much edited out all the gunplay. I mean, you'd see a gun go off, but you never see anybody get hit. They'd cut to a body. It bordered on ridiculous. But that's one of the first things that happened. For a few dollars more, the same thing. They pretty much excised as much violence as they could, making the film almost unwatchable. When you get to the third film in the trilogy, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, I think I had turned it off because it was the point where Tuco was confronted by 3 gunmen, and they were confronted by Eastwood, and Eastwood blew them all away. Well, all you see is Eastwood pull his gun, you hear the gunshots, you don't see anybody get hit, you don't see anybody fall, then it cuts to the bodies laying on the ground, and Tuco thanking him. It got worse, I turned it off. Another one I remember was Rio Conchos. The first action scene where they were attacked by bandits, you see the main bandit make the play, and all of a sudden there's a gunshot, it cuts away, there's 5 dead bandits, and you never saw anybody get killed. It bordered on ridiculous. They did the same thing to The Dirty Dozen, The Devil's Brigade, any action film you could think of. For There Was a Crooked Man, they not only took out the violence, they took out some of the minor cursing, but left the N-word in there. Also for Tick, 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 they took out some of the violence, they took out some of the cursing, but left the N-word in there. Then you have to see what administration was in control of the country at that time. That's all I have to say. Of course, horror films would fare just as bad, if not worse, but they always did. You know, the 50s stuff, black and white, nobody really paid attention to, but this was actually sent out to TV stations as a warning. 2 films, Blood Feast and The Flesh Eaters. TV stations were warned not to pick these 2 films up. Obviously, Blood Feast would have ran maybe 15 minutes, but they did pick up The Flesh Eaters, and they did cut the shit out of it. To the point where, if you remember the scene where Omar is screaming and the things are eating their way out, they cut the sound on that. Like I said, it got more and more ludicrous. Weirdly enough, though, they ran Night of the Living Dead at 1 o'clock in the morning on Channel 7 uncut. I got home from, I don't know, I think I went to roller derby or wrestling or something like that. I got home, I saw this, I'm thinking, let's see how they fucked this up. They didn't. But they ran it again the next week with a disclaimer saying that this is a dramatization, this is not really happening. Because if you had a black and white TV for the TV scenes, you might have been convinced something was going on. It was all very strange. Like I said, any action film seemed to get the trim. And being that I got this like really weird memory of for scenes and films and stuff like that, I was sitting there going, I can't believe what they're doing. The ultimate cut film was The Wild Bunch. When I saw The Wild Bunch was going to debut on network TV after seeing what they had done to the other films, I'm thinking, what the fuck are they going to do to this? Well, what they did was, they edited out most of the violence, but put in some of the scenes that were removed, that were basically taken out because they were slower and they wanted the film to move faster. They put back in the scene where Edmund O'Brien tells the William Holden character that Crazy Lee was his grandson. And they also elaborated on the whole Holden taken off where Robert Ryan got arrested type deal. These scenes were taken out for the theatrical version to make it run faster, but put into the TV version to pad it out. And when Apache got shot at the end, you only saw one. I think that was the only blood pack you saw go. It was just so quick and so edited, it was ridiculous. It shouldn't even been shown on TV if that's the way you wanted to cut it down. It was a very strange time there, and just really weird what was going on. But then again, you have to look at the party that was in power, and you just have to go back in time and find that out for yourself. Because, like I said, I'm not going to get political here, but all you got to do is look what was in power, and you see what was going on. And it was really fucking strange back then. A lot of stuff ran late at night uncut because they figured they had no audience for it, or whatever. But yeah, just a little strange slice of life here that happened. Probably went on for a good 6-7 years before I don't know what happened. I stopped watching TV a while ago. People always ask me about TV shows in the 70s and 60s. I said I really didn't watch them, and especially in the 70s because I was out till all hours of the night. So I really didn't watch a lot of that stuff. So that's censorship for you, which still goes on today because we're still having this cancel culture stuff. And I got a film I got to talk about down the road that's going to blow everybody's mind, but I need visual aids to do that thing. So until next time, thanks for tuning in, thanks for subscribing. Above all, stay safe, and we'll catch you on the flip side.